Yeah.
This is a feature that's built into BeLive, countdown clock. You can set it anything from 30 seconds to 30 hours, depending on how patient your audience are. And when it gets down to 0, it will disappear off screen.
That's nice, because we've got the delay with YouTube, haven't we?
That's right. Yeah, you've got different connection times. Hello, everybody. Hello, Nick.
Hello. Good afternoon, Stephen. Lovely to be here again today.
It is. And this is BeLive on YouTube, hosted by Nick and Stephen. We've actually got it on the screen, and we say hello to. Oh, hello. Long time. Let's see. Hello, Gail. Nice to see you.
Hi, Gail.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two off screen, because don't need that one because it's nothing to do with what we're doing now, and hide that one because you've already seen it, and come back to us. Now, the idea of the show is that Nick chooses 2 videos from BeLivers who broadcast to YouTube, and I do the same, and then sandwiched in the middle is a section about you going live on YouTube, and we say hello to Roland, who's not representing Warminster FC today. He's actually here as himself. Nice to see you, Roland.
Hi, Roland.
And Stephen Healey fan club is here. Thank you very much, Roland. Very kind of you. Okay, always a smile. So would you like to tell us about your? I think I've numbered the videos this week, so hopefully, yes, I have numbered the videos, which is good. I'm just going to. I said I was going to share screen, so let's share screen. And what we've done is we've got a list of videos together, and we can tell you a little bit about them. If I come back and bring that up on screen, Nick has no idea what I'm doing because we didn't rehearse this.
That's okay. Because I'll just let you know, I chose these 2 videos today because they're both interview videos, but 2 different genres. And I thought it was interesting to see how the 2 different genres worked. And they were good interviews. I quite enjoyed them both.
Okay, so the first one up is D. James.
D. James, yeah.
Okay, and we'll bring that video on screen. Hide that. And bring the video up on screen of D. James. Okay, so now we're going to make it full screen. And this is the first interview you saw with Dee and Kid Curry. And I'm going to press play and turn our microphones off.
Hey there, and welcome back to Just Say It. I'm your host, Dee James, broadcasting from the beautiful Peace Garden state of North Dakota. And Just Say It is where my guests share their stories and inspire and encourage others. And so today my guest is a man that, well, his dad was a radio news guy, and he got him his first gig, and he started his radio career down in Florida, and he was running the most successful radio station in Miami. What a gig, when he was diagnosed with a chronic disease. And so he was forced into retirement at a rather early age. So he knows a lot about coping with chronic disease, challenges in life, and reinvention, and creating a new person. And so we're going to talk a lot about all of that on this edition of Just Say It. And so I'm talking about Kim Curry, and he is also known as Kid Curry. Welcome.
Hello, Dee. Thank you very much for the intro. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me.
You are most welcome. Well, you and I both have had long radio careers. I spent about 33 years in radio, and I retired from radio for different reasons than you did. But tell me about. Let's just start from the beginning. You got your first radio gig. Your dad got you your first gig, and So tell me about your radio career.
Okay, well, I was 17 years old, a little boy in Canyon City, Colorado. There's only one radio station there. My daddy worked there. And they needed someone to come in on Sunday mornings to run the God show, they called it. That was what they did, was they recorded all the services every Sunday morning, and then they played them the next Sunday on the radio. And so they needed someone to do that, and they needed a high school kid. I thought I was going to babysit because my dad asked me, would you like to babysit this weekend? And I used to make money by babysitting my parents' friends' kids. So I thought I was going to go babysit, but I got to the radio station and I was told I was going to babysit the Sunday morning God show. But the first time I heard my voice on that radio airwave and said the call letters KRLN, Canyon City, Colorado, the station with the news reputation, I was hooked. And I got started and went off to Knoxville. And 6 months after my first full-time job in Knoxville, I ended up in Miami, Florida, and eventually spent 25 years there. I was hired as the young guy. And by the time I left, I was the old guy, but I was running the property and bringing it more success than it had ever had. So I was very proud to be working with some very smart people, very lucky to know some very intelligent young people because I'm an old guy. I was, playing, hip hop music at the age of 50, kind of out of the demo, but I knew how to hire young people to tell me what to do. But then, it was 1999. Christmas vacation. If you remember, the tsunami hit that Christmas. I had taken my wife and my kids back home to Colorado here from Miami to visit my mother. And the tsunami happened. And the time we were there, my mother didn't even know what the word meant. So we were a lot of time on TV watching, because remember, that was the first time we in history had ever seen that kind of damage, because there was the first time you could broadcast something like that. And you could see people, towns, cities wiped out by this huge wave. And when we were leaving, my mother said, there's something wrong with you. You don't look right. And I told her, Mom, I've got a very big job and I'm kind of perplexed by what's happened on the TV screen with this tsunami. So that's the stress you're seeing. And she said, nope, there's something else. And within the next few weeks, I started noticing I couldn't walk straight. My vision had problems. I've seen black spots, dark spots in my eyes, shoulder going away, and ended up going to the doctor. And about 4 or 5 months later was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And about a month after that, in reality, a matter of a couple of weeks after that, I was forced into retirement, because it takes a lot to run a radio station. And I didn't want it to fail because I was failing. So it was best that I just
Fascinating story.
It's a great story. There's just a couple of things I wanted to mention about it. Was actually both the videos I chose today, because they're on YouTube, they can really benefit with the timer, because there was a bit before, I think, that's just been cut off. But what I liked about Dee, as it goes on, she brings Kid Curry to the center again quite often, and that's really nice. I know, when I'm doing my interviews, I'm sitting there grinning like a Cheshire cat half the time, but I think I'm going to change mine and copy Dee there and bring the subject actually for front and center. But you notice, of course, when you do that, then suddenly you've got a big wider frame on the camera. So if you're going to do that, be careful, or just double check that that there's nothing strange on either side.
Yeah, I mean, do a show on Wednesdays with Marco, and I've got to warn him when he's going to be on screen on his own. And the same with Peter Stewart on Thursdays as well. People like to be warned. They don't mind being center screen, but they do need to be warned. But it varies the mix of the show, doesn't it?
Yeah, it keeps it engaging. And he said something about video that I think is true of you and now me. And that is, when you've done it once, you suddenly get hooked and addicted, and it becomes, you just can't stop yourself.
True. I mean, a friend of mine said, I asked a friend of mine, when should you go live? And he said, when you feel like it. There are no limits. I mean, you've got your regular shows, but you can go live whenever you want. Right. Yeah. As far as video one's concerned, the link has been posted in the comments. So if you want to watch the rest of that video, because they were just getting started, and to hear the rest of the story, that was storytelling at its best.
Oh,
You got the feeling that they'd met up before.
yeah, and I think it helped that they both had careers in radio, so they're used to talking, used to the sound of their own voice, and yeah, he had an amazing, lovely story. So it's really good.
Okay, now my first video is something different because we have a number of people who have actually told us that they're broadcast on YouTube, and I'm going to make without further ado, I'm going to go solo on that and mute Nick's microphone and mute mine and just play the video. Again, this is live from BeLive to YouTube.
Tribe, and welcome to the Thursday night Thrive Tribe. I'm your host, Cass Fachaponte, co-founder and president of Operation Shockwave, and this is my dear friend, Captain Retired Sean Pierce, formerly Sean Pierce Wheelwright, the ever wonderful and wonderful prankster of the group. Sean is not only a dear friend, he is also family to me. I've known Sean since I graduated West Point in 2003. Sean graduated in 2004. And the journey kind of continued from there, I suppose. We reconnected a couple of years ago. Sean's an Arizona native from Pine Top. And I'm just really excited that you're on with us tonight to tell what an incredible story that you have, because there's some highs, there's some lows, some in-betweens, and we've been together through it all. So I don't know where you want to start, but the floor is yours. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself? How about that?
There's like 7,000 people on here. A little bit about me. Yeah, so I grew up in the small town of Pine Top, Arizona. I decided that I wasn't ready for college, so I enlisted in the Army and got airborne in my contract like an idiot. My recruiter told me I could go to Italy, which we all know is not really
Lies.
ever happens. Ended up at Fort Bragg in the 82nd as an infantryman, and then got letters of recommendation to go to Green and Gold to become an officer. And then I had the opportunity to go to a prep school to go to West Point. So I was very fortunate to get that opportunity. I feel like I did pretty well there. I don't remember ever having anxiety. I mean, it was brutal academically and everything else, but it just never really was a big deal. Like, I just kind of made a joke about everything, and I had that attitude through infantry officer basic course and ranger school and combat diver, all that stuff. That's how I got through it. And the same with combat. I had 2 campaigns overseas, and it sometimes got me in trouble. But I remember the good outweighing the bad as far as relating to the guys. And when we suffered a loss, I remember my battalion commander actually coming to me and being like, "Hey, this is your lane. It's time to kind of get the guys joking and have a good time." I'm going to be like super monotone now because I'm talking about myself. I hate it.
Well, I mean, I'll interject here, because you said, especially when you have frozen face, which is great, but you said you remember being pretty good at West Point, and you were a top-notch, high-ranking cadet, not academically for the most part, but you were still above average. But you were a phenomenal cadet and had leaders looking up to you, both active Army and cadets, and you really, really excelled there. And then tracking through the Army, especially over there with the losses that you suffered, bringing the guys together, I could only imagine the higher ups relying heavy on you because of your tactical mind, your technical mind, and then of course your personality raising morale, because I saw that all the way through being a cadet. So can you talk?
This is where live video scores, because he's able to tell his story. And I love the way that she actually encouraged him to tell his story, and she knew his story. And it's very moving throughout the video. But it's just the opportunity to tell our life stories, really.
Yeah.
And Kath was very good at actually sort of getting him through it, because you could tell that he didn't want to tell his story, but in the end he did.
Yeah, they looked like he was struggling, but because she's obviously been through the same sort of thing, she could bring him along. I'm guessing. I'll check out the rest of that because I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. So that's the second of our videos. Now we're going to take a segue over to YouTube for a moment, and shall we take a look at YouTube analytics?
Oh yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to screen share again and go over to Chrome tab, and I'm going to share my analytics with you, and bring that full screen on the screen and full screen. We can carry on with the microphones. We don't need to do anything. So there we have it. Okay. This is your analytics, and this is basically where you get advice on whether you're doing the right thing and the wrong thing. Now, from my mind, just going through that screen, in the last 28 days, I've had 2008 views, 111 hours watched, and 14 new subscribers. Now, all the items that appear there, the 2, 1, 11, and 14 are up, which is the good thing.
Yeah.
If they're going up, then you head in the right way. Okay.
Yeah, lots of green arrows there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you that in a moment. And then it shows you the top videos that you had in those 28 days. And it was helped a great deal by Facebook changing the scheduling system. And then telling stories with Carl. Carl Mortier is an amazing visual storyteller. And of course, the Facebook live scheduling comes in again. And then the recent upload shows the one that's just been put up there in the last couple of days, which is about my tour of YouTube. Now, all these videos have one thing in common. They are about live video. That's what my channel is about encouraging people to go on live video. So the overview is the first thing, but also important is the reach. And 34,600 clicks on my page, but the click rate is only 1.4%, and that's my problem. That's my big problem, because in Brian Johnson's group, people are getting click-through rates of 6 and 7%. So obviously, I'm appealing either to the wrong audience or I'm not clickable, and people are not following through. So I've got to work on that. But I averaged 2,000 views for the month, and 878 people came to see the channel.
But it looks like you were on the 6% though, by the looks of it, Stephen, because you're
6% down.
Down, yeah.
Yeah. But that 1.4% could be around about 7%, which means that people would click through and watch the video. All right. Okay. And then traffic sources. Now this is look at that. The external is 45% because that's me promoting outside of YouTube and leading people in.
Okay.
But this is where YouTube search and appearing on people's channel pages, like the BeLive page, and people using the browse feature. Now taking each of those in turn, YouTube search and browse are driven by the SEO.
Mm.
And you don't get the views from there unless you get your SEO right, which is something we talked about last week about the tags. And then as view percentage actually unknown at the moment. But one of the interesting things is, and I took my eye off the ball last week. I just want to demonstrate this. I took my eye off the ball last week, setting up the new network, as a result of which everything apart from the click-through rate went down. So it's not something you, as soon as you leave it, it stops. Yeah. So it's very important to be consistent in actually not only posting the videos, but promoting as well. Because if you don't, you'll lose views. And if you lose views, you lose the number of hours that are actually watched. Go back to the, sorry.
So are you saying you stopped promoting and posting them last week? Is that
well, I just posted, which is easy.
Ah.
I was creating building our community, and was doing a lot of work on that, which meant there's only so many hours, so something had to give, and the give was here at YouTube. So I'm going to have to pick the gauntlet up and run with it this week to actually get the numbers back up again overall for the 28 days. Then the picture is good. If you go, let's go back a year, and you'll see what's happened over the last 365 days. If you take October, beginning of October up to November, I wasn't actually doing anything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'd post a video and walk away. Yeah. Then I started to promote the videos, and it's been up and down all the time. And occasionally it peaks when you get a video which gets more views than anything else. Yeah.
Yep.
But it shows that if you can be consistent, then you can actually get the views up. Now, the thing that interests me is the audience. Oh, it's not there. Okay. I'm going to have to go for 28 days. So 878 people have actually visited the channel this month, which is good.
How do you promote your videos, Stephen?
Sorry?
How do you promote your videos?
Right. Okay. I promote my videos. First of all, I share the YouTube video onto Facebook. Yeah. There's no rules that say you can't. And the thing is that it displays well on Facebook, and then you invite people to come over in that way. The second thing is that I tweet the videos as well, and I generally tweet them 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Which is nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. If you've got an evergreen video, then you should be tweeting it as many times as you can, really, without annoying people. Because a lot of traffic actually comes in from Twitter. If you do a tweet and you have attached to it the link to the video and an image, yeah, which is either the image from the video, or if that doesn't show an image that relates to the broadcast, then you attract a bigger audience than if you just got a text tweet. So make the tweets as pretty as you can. Yeah. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As attractive as you can, so that people actually do take action on them. And let's say hello to Corinda, who's just joined us. Now, what tends to happen is that my viewership goes down over the weekend because I take the weekend off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I know why that happens. But I just want to go back to the 7 days again, and just finally go back to the 7 days. And the interesting part here is the top videos, and you can see that recent uploads are playing a part, but it's also your back catalogue. Okay. Yep. Now that video there is from number 2 is from January 2017, which is a fair indication that videos have a longer life on YouTube than they do on Facebook. And this video here, Expert VCam for green screens, is from May this year. And if we go through to the video itself, we can see that the graph is going up and up and up and up, and it's consistently getting views.
Yes.
Every single month. Yeah. And that's what you need. You need a video, usually a how-to video, in my case, where it's going to just bubble away in the background. Yeah. Now it helps that in this particular case, XSplit VCam actually noticed it and pushed it too.
Oh, really? I was going to say, is it in other people's recommended lists? Do you think is that what's?
Yeah, basically, I know that the video itself gets hits from XSplit's account and from BeLive's account as well. Yeah. One of the best things you can do, I'll just come back to the two of us, is hide that. One of the best things you can do is to download the YouTube app, YouTube Studio app, because that gives you stats, and it gives you more stats than we've just seen there, and it will tell you what people have actually been viewing today, and then you can decide whether to promote it or not. So get the YouTube Director Stats app. I'll post a link afterwards, but that's basically my go-to at the end of every day to actually check, because it tells you which videos have been popular that day. It tells you who's links people have been following to find you, and then you can go to those sites and you can actually comment so that people see even more of you about. Okay, right, over to Corinda. And Corinda, we're catching up, Corinda.
Hi, Corinda.
And Corinda's saying, hey, both.
Hi, Corinda. Good to see you.
And yay. And again from Corinda. Right, okay, there are hate crimes on live stream. We need to be careful now. I know that there have been, just to point, there have been problems on Twitch recently, Facebook not so much, but there have been a lot of, I'll not say, well, things we don't really need happening on Twitch. Possibly other platforms too, he said to cover himself. Right, okay, and yes, we know Boris is on at 3:30, Roland.
Yeah.
I watched the broadcast earlier by the medic, and yeah, let's just be a COVID-free zone for the next 10 minutes or so.
You know what you're going to say. No competition.
Right, so I'm going to look now for video number 2. I've got video number 4, video number 2. I'm going to bring that on screen.
Oh yes, the Money and Tech Show.
Right. Okay. Would you like to tell us about this, and then I'll press play.
Yeah. So this is a different interview type. So this is where Gospel, who runs the Money and Tech Show, she has experts in. So she's asking them specific questions, and in this one, she has an insurance expert for why you should have insurance in the States, not just rely on your job. And so it was much more of an informational type interview, which is, again, it's great, particularly if you want information about tips for insurance. And if they did SEO it, and again, similar to the previous one, yeah, if you could, I think, if you've got the timer on so you've got the full video, because you can always trim it in YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Then you'll see more of it, and you'll see a nice intro. So, but then if they SEO it for insurance tips, then I think that'd do really well. She's got a whole raft of videos on the channel.
Let's go for it. So I'll put the video full screen, and as is standard practice, I'll turn off Nick's mic and turn off
special guest. Hello, Anita.
Oh, so nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. So as Gospel so kindly welcomed me already, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction into who I am. So my name is Amida Jimmer, and I am a financial regulated advisor, and I specialize within insurance and specialist protection. So you can find me on Instagram at @sheinsures_, Facebook @sheinsures, or on Twitter at @sheinsures_. Thank you again for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, therefore introducing yourself. That is awesome. I am looking forward to today's
I'm so
show because I really want to learn. And we met a few months ago, and you helped me out with insurance stuff because for years people have been telling me stories about insurance, but she educated me, and I was like, oh, mind blown. My audience needs to hear from you. So
perfect.
thank you so much for agreeing to come and educate.
No worries. Thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
awesome. So today, the topic that we're going to be talking about is 3 insurance trap to avoid, and really how you should protect yourself, really. So tell me, tell me what is the number one trap that we need to sort of avoid, like.
Okay, so first thing, do you know what? When people say first thing, there's so many things that rushes into my mind. But when it comes to insurance and personal protection, the first thing that people should look out for is believing that their employers are the cover that they have with their employers is the best and the most perfect cover that they can potentially get. That is incorrect. A lot of the time, as an advisor, when I go through my free consultations with clients, we often review their work policies, and I ask them some questions. I say, okay, this cover is great, but what happens when you leave that job? Your benefits end. What happens when you're made redundant? Or sometimes in worst case scenarios, you're furloughed like a lot of people are now. Or for example, if you are fired, those benefits end. And a lot of the time as well, when we go through the policy, when we look at the terms and the conditions, we find that a lot of the time, it's not as comprehensive as it would be if you went directly through a broker or a financial protection advisor. So that's a trap that they fall into because they believe that, oh yes, I've got enough cover with work, I'm fine. And they don't need to cover their mortgages, or they don't need to cover their homes, or they don't need to cover themselves or their health or whatever it might be, because they assume that what their company is providing is the best set in stone cover for them. So that's a trap.
Yeah, do you know what? I never even thought about that one, and I'm sure lots of people don't even think about that. That what your especially, I suppose, if it is it for both sectors, private and public?
It's for all sectors, because the thing is, we've put so much trust and so much reliability in our employers. And I'm not saying that, you should walk into work tomorrow and say, oh, you don't care anything about me. That's not what I am saying. But even right now, during this time, statistics have shown that 56% of employers have not provided any support or advice for mental health support for their employees. What does that mean? Our employers, don't know what they're doing, or they don't have. I'm not saying that they don't have our best needs at the forefront, but it's a time when no one knows what's going on. So you can't really put all your trust in your employer, because they're not going to know your whole life. They don't know that much about you. They don't know your personal circumstances. They can cover for a subsection, but not for your whole circumstance. So when you have a conversation with a broker like myself, what we do is I analyze your circumstances, and I make sure that the cover that I'm recommended is tailored specifically to your personal needs. And you get a full comprehensive cover that matches your circumstances and covers you for a sufficient amount of time. Okay?
Yeah, that is actually good. And
Yeah, it made me realise we're lucky that we live in the UK.
Well, true. I mean, Gospel's a good friend, and she lives down south, and we've done shows together. And she's the thing that came through to me from both of them was the confidence on camera.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah, total control of the camera. Right. Our final broadcast today is from another good friend, and this gentleman lives in Brighton. And if I can find him, I shall bring him up on screen. I numbered these to make it easier. Okay, got it.
Yeah, the links aren't
right. Okay. Now, Matt, loves BeLive, and he and I chat most weeks. And he is a sports therapist in Brighton, but he's a sports therapist with an international reputation. So what he's able to do is to call on his peers from around the globe and interview them about their particular speciality, as you will see now. In a second.
Okay, it's 8:02, traditionally late, and you are listening to or watching live, hopefully, Run Chat Live episode 51. We had the 50th birthday last week with Dr. Guillaume Millet, which has had some really, really good feedback. I'm pleased to hear, excuse me, from the ultra running community in particular. Sorry. Yeah, no, thank you for everybody who sent some emails. There was more than normal, actually. I'm pleased because the runners actually really got onto it. Ultra runners tend to be a bit geeky anyway because they just do incredibly ridiculous ultra endurance things. So they kind of keep their ear a little bit close to the ground when it comes to advice and evidence from the greats. So my thanks once again to Guillaume Millet. If you want to catch up with that, obviously it's on YouTube, like all episodes of Run Chat Live are, or if you prefer just to listen to it, although there are some diagrams on that particular episode, so there is a lot of value of watching the YouTube video. But if you prefer to get your Run Chat Live audio, then yeah, it's podcast and all the normal apps. You can listen to us there as well. Right, so tonight episode 51 is going to be all about massage. It's going to be really significant for runners as well, again, but also to therapists, particularly therapists who have learned maybe off a traditional course. A lot of courses are still taught with a lot of things which are a little bit dubious, to say the least. It's very slow to change around. The industry is a little bit kind of stuck in time in certain places. So I'm hoping that there will be some eye-opening bombshells, to say the least, tonight for both therapists and runners. Before I do, I need to say thank you to my sponsors. Does anybody know what LMI is? I've only discovered this morning what LMI is, and I know that it smells absolutely incredible because, yes, I've got a new one from the Brighton Beard Company who sponsored this podcast. That is LMI, apparently. It's a Filipino tree called Canarium luzonicumus, if you want to kind of hear the proper word for it. And it's, the oleo resin harvested from the tree is a limai, and it smells absolutely amazing, mixed with sandalwood and a bit of lavender as well. Let me just plug myself in here because otherwise my computer's going to go off. It smells absolutely incredible. It's been a while since I've done this online. I always thought I was going to be, what was I normally? A sandalwood and mandarin type of guy. But this, yeah. There we go. It's my new favorite. And I'm not just saying that. I went for a 5K run today. And if you've got a beard, you'll appreciate it. If you don't, then you won't, because you don't know what it's like. But even when you're running and it feels great anyway. But imagine you're feeling great. And also you've got this waft of Elamite, of all things, going up your nostrils. It's beautiful. I totally recommend it. People with beards will know what I'm talking about. And if you're looking for a new scent, or if you're looking to buy your fellow a new scent, then, or anybody you're with who happens to have a beard, then this is the one. I'll still get my plug for my laptop. Oh, I'm going to run out of battery very quickly. So tonight is going to be all about very much putting the evidence back in. And I'm very pleased to bring you somebody who, well, basically, she's going to be a speaker at Run Chat Live this year online, because last year at Run Chat Live conference 2019, rightfully so, one of the criticisms I got, and there's nothing wrong with criticism, we'll be talking about that later on, is, Matt, you've got 10 world-class therapists up there, fantastic. You've got physios, you've got osteos, you've got podiatrists, you've got strength and conditioning coaches. Well done, well done. Why the hell haven't you got a massage therapist? And I was kind of caught a little bit off guard. I was like, yeah, we're all up here going, oh, fascia this and massage that and blah, 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 blah. But I didn't actually invite a massage therapist to stand on the stage and actually present information on behalf of a massage therapist. So, and there were some quite heated debates at one point between the Physio Matters podcast team and a few podiatrists who are very into their fascial cross-friction rubbing. And it all got a bit stormy. So I made a point of saying, right, you want a massage therapist in 2020? Let me just plug this in. You're going to have a massage therapist for 2020. And I already knew in the back of my mind exactly who that was going to be, because I followed Alice Sanvito for probably about 4 or 5 years now, via Paul Ingram, via a few people have mentioned it, basically online, because in the forums, and the reason we've had a laugh because of internationally acclaimed, Alice, in true modest sense, almost speaks a very modest sense, internationally acclaimed, but if you're celebrated in different countries around the world, whether it's online or in person, you are internationally acclaimed. And Alice certainly is, not only because of her kind of hashtag shit that massage therapists say. Obviously, a hashtag like that is going to be celebrated. It's a universal world, isn't it? So that's one of the things which made me snig and think I've got to follow this woman more. She's got some great stuff. So I'm really happy to say that Alice is going to be with us in 2020 online. It's such a shame. I was really looking forward to meeting Alice in person, but it can't happen this year because of a certain virus, which we just won't keep talking about. But she will be with us online.
Wow, how engaging is he?
Oh, it's totally conversational, isn't he? And
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, in the adverts as well, and we've played the adverts too. Yeah, I mean, he's just a natural, isn't he? And we're still waiting for Alice though, because 5 minutes 40 seconds into the video we haven't seen Alice, so you'd have to watch the rest of the video to actually find out more about Alice. And
well, I was so impressed that he was able to plug in and have his changing his screens.
Yeah,
it was quite incredible.
Brilliant.
And talk at the same time.
Indeed, it never stops. It stops. Right, so that was Matt, and hopefully you found the videos we showed earlier educational, informative, and interesting. Nick, it's over to you to close the show.
Well, listen, we hope that you've enjoyed these videos. Do go check them out because they are well worth a watch. And if you're using BeLive and you're live streaming to YouTube and you want us to show your videos, promote them, and give our feedback, then please do message us, let us know, and we can add them to our playlists. We are here every Monday at 3 p.m. UK time. Sorry, Stephen, I can't remember what that is in the States.
10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern. So we look forward to seeing you again next week for some more tips. And I'm going to go and have a look at my analytics on TubeBuddy now. Take care.
Bye, everybody.